Okay, I'm in. Yes, we're going to open with a word of prayer now as we begin. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, so much for this day that you have given us. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come together to learn more about your work and what we need to be doing. Father, I pray that each one that is on this meeting today will receive a blessing from what they hear today. Be with all of us as we are here. Be with our presenters. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is my name is Jay Francis, and I will be starting off our wonderful meeting on a few items. And like Gwen said, at the end, you can put your questions in the chat room, and we will get to those questions afterwards. I appreciate if you guys will hold off from trying to jump in, but we will try to get to everybody's questions closer to the end. Okay. As you can see, this is our leadership convention 2022 for the experienced treasurers. I know some of you may be experienced as of maybe 1 or 2 months, but some of them might be around for quite a few years. But so some of the information may be redundant, but I believe you will get some wonderful information coming to you. So let's move forward now. We're going to go right into some of the topics we're going to be talking about this morning. One of them is going to be our, of course, remittance that the treasurer sent through. Jewel, we will be definitely be talking about Jewel. As you can see, these are the people in our team, Francine, myself, Rhonda, and Gwen. You've already heard Gwen, and you'll hear Francine later. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. So like I said, we're going to be talking about remittances and the deadlines. We're going to be talking about Jewel, also auditing and Adventist giving. Hopefully we'll try to touch on all of them. As we all know, our work as treasurers now, just to give you a little short background, myself, I'm actually a tax accountant. So I've been a tax accountant over 40 years, but also working with the churches, I've worked as an auditor, and I have been a treasurer. And I've been a treasurer for about 15 years. A lot of you who know me know we have talked about this many times. So I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to be a treasurer. It's a sacred work that we all do. And you know what? We're privileged to be treasurers. For us to be nominated as a treasurer, sometimes we feel that I've spoken to quite a few of you guys. Sometimes I feel like we're being punished. Hey, why are we being treasurers? But this is one of the positions in the church that's not only sacred work that we're doing, but also it's by God's grace that we're doing what he has asked us to do. We're custodians of all the funds of the church. We have general duties that we do. We also have to put together internal controls, things that we need to remember to do in our different in the Treasury Department. So we'll be going over some of this stuff. And like I said, a lot of you have my contact information. You'll get that later also. And I try to make myself available as much as I can to assist any treasurer who needs help. And of course, we do auditing. Of course, you might not have seen us in a couple of years, but we will be doing some auditing this year. And it's a very simple thing. It's nothing tragic or that big about it. So it's just doing the auditing procedures. So you got to think, much of our duties include counting, recording, securing and depositing tithes and offerings, paying bills. You know, some of you who's been around, you know, those bills do come in no matter if we have one member in the church or we have 100 or 1,000 members in the church, we still get those bills. So we have the approving hours for for workers who work for us and sending payroll into this South Atlantic Conference. And there are deadlines for all these things. And sometimes these deadlines can cause us to, fall behind in other work that we do. Reconciling our bank accounts, of course, sending monthly remittance to us and preparing financial reports for the church board committee and preparing your year-end receipts for the donors. These are just some of the duties that you have. One of the things that you got to remember, again, we're going to talk more detail of the timing and some of the things that we do and how to separate some of these duties, especially when we was talking about internal controls. Next. So as we see here, you do need a United States federal tax ID. Now, these IDs can be, you can get them right from the irs.gov website. You also, the local churches is also a 501c3 charitable organization. So we did receipts and stuff. And churches exempt from paying property taxes when property is used for religious purposes. Every church must have their own EIN numbers. You should, like, again, if you have any questions on how to get it, if you don't have it already, and I believe a lot of you already have it. So, of course, if you have a question on it, you can always ask and we could help you. Where do you go to verify tax exempt status of an organization? Oh, yes. Under the church group tax exemption, the General Conference Office or General Counsel, as you see the number here, you can always call, a letter specific to the organization will be sent. This includes local churches and schools and ACS, if not under the group exemption. Here's, again, the IRS website, irs.ustreasure.gov, IRS Publication 78. This one will give you some more information on the exemption of the organization. All right, so moving forward, now remittances. We will, a lot of times we ask the treasurers to try to get the remittances in to the conference on a timely fashion. We ask all remittances to be in by the 10th of the month. So as you see here, local ties and other conference offerings should be sent to the local conference. They are due by the 10th. We, would like to have it all in by the 10th. That is your deadline. What we're going to be doing, especially this year, is we will, if you have a question on what we call the remittance schedule, you just let us know. Try to get it into us either by the 10th. If not, after the 10th, technically you are late. So we always try to get it in by then. If you need any assistance in that, we will talk about that. You can either send it by check, draft, or by ACH. In the Jewel system, you'll find that the sending your remittance will be quite easy. Monthly reports will be sent to local pastors and treasurers. At the end of every month, we send out a report letting you know the timing of your remittance, when did we get it, and the dates. If you have any question on that, you can always call myself or anyone here at the Treasury office. I take care of most of the remittance coming in and out of the conference. As we move forward, it says the tie envelopes, remittance forms, and Jewel software. Some of the things, these are the supplies that you will need. Of course, tie envelopes, all the churches have. If you run low of your tie envelopes, we have what we call the general type of envelope. Some churches actually have their own envelopes printed up, but like I said, we have them. They're free. You can always get them. Remittance forms you can get. If you have it electronically, you could do that also. The Jewel software is one of the most important things that all treasurers should be using. If you're not using Jewel, please give me a call and I will definitely train you and help you to get up on Jewel. It'll make your life much more easier. Again, after being a treasurer for 15 years, I'm telling you, Jewel was a blessing. So let's keep that in mind. And like I said, those of you who have worked with already know the pleasure of using Jewel, okay? Again, this is going to be an incentive for this year. Treasurers who sends their reports by the 10th of the month will get $500. Now, you have to do this every month of the year. This is going to be given at the end of the year as a gift to, as an incentive and a gift to those treasurers. Now, treasurers that send the reports in for the month due after the deadline, but before the report is closed. Usually we close the month or close the reports by the 15th of the month. Again, if you could get it into us by the 10th, you will be rewarded. And this is for every month, not just 1 month here and 1 month there. Every month we are expecting to get it in by the 10th at the end of the year. If you accomplish that goal, you will get $500. For the treasurers who send their reports in monthly, but not by that date, but let's say a couple of months they got it in right before we closed out the month by the 15th, then again, you will get $300. So that's a program, an incentive program we're putting together for all the treasurers. Online giving. This is interestingly, it's easier. I know there are some churches that their members want to use Cash App, or they want to use Zelle, or some of these other avenues. When you do that, the only difference is those other avenues will not give them, will give them the opportunity of making in the memo section where they want their funds to go. For instance, they want to go to tithes, they want to go, so much go to other areas in the church, maybe church budget, or even to, if you have Pathfinders, Men's Ministry, or any of those ministries. If you put it through Advent Giving, that's automatic. Those steps, those items come up, those ministries will come up. And the only thing you do is put the amounts in there. When we get it, we can now upload that into Jewel, whereas Cash App and these other avenues, we cannot upload into Jewel automatically. We would have to, the treasurers have to actually manually enter them. So keep that in mind. Try to encourage your members to use Adventist Giving. Very simple to use and very easy to bring in. Okay. This is
just quickly to show you how much money came in 2021 using the Adventist Giving application. So for all of NAD, it was almost 239 million. And for South Atlantic, we had just over 22 million. So we're doing a good job in terms of those who are utilizing it. We haven't, it's not anything that's mandated, like Jay said, it's something that you can use. We know some churches are comfortable using other applications, but especially during the pandemic, what we found was the ability to look for ways to make things a lot easier for us to manage remotely. So this is yet another thing that can be used for your benefit.
okay. So enrolling into Advent Giving, a lot of you who are already in it, you can always help one another. But to get it, we'll get you, you get an application from the conference, get local churches to vote. You have to vote on this and your board, and then you submit that application back to the conference, and then we could get you onto Adventist Giving. The other thing is, we go to the next. You get okay, we go into the steps now. Get application from conference, get church to vote their online giving, and send application and voided check back to the conference. Application is approved by the conference, of course, and welcome to enrollment email is sent to the local church's treasurers, and instructions for setting up the profile is there. Let church members and donors know you are registered. See, so in your board and your business meeting, you will let the church know that you are that your church is registered to do this, so that way they could all sign up and submit their funds that way. Receive daily reports from the donations received. Deposits are made twice a month into the bank, and you choose the 4th or the 16th day of the month. I find that again, when you get these reports, what happens a lot of times, we're closing out the month. So a lot of times we're saying we don't see the report, or a lot of us jump the gun and try to do the reports like, let's say on the 30th or the 31st. And then we still haven't gotten the report that normally comes in about the 4th or between the 4th and the 6th. Remember that those reports, especially the ones in the beginning of the month, usually are for deposits that came in for the previous month. So if you're getting that by the 4th, or let's say the 4th of September, these people may have wanted those funds to go in for August. So keep that in mind when you're closing out the month, and you can schedule yourself accordingly. The other one, the 16th, is going to be for the month that it comes into, so you don't have to worry about that one. Especially, this is also important at the end of the year, because again, you'll have a lot of people come in at the end of the year, you're closing out the month quickly because you want to get everything in. But you want to wait until you get this report right here by the 4th. So that way you can have those funds in, because those funds will probably be for December. Even though you're getting it in January, they will be for December. So please, for the end of the year, that's the most crucial part, because they want to get there. A lot of people bring their money in late, but they want to get it in for the month of December, for the end of the year. So keep that in mind. If changes need to be made into your bank accounts, the pastor or local church treasurer submit a change form, and we will make that change for them. All right.
And that part is kind of the most crucial, because we have a lot of, when there is a lot of, well, not a lot, when there's transition in the Treasury department at the local church, stuff kind of starts to slip through the cracks. So the sooner that we know that either the contact information of the treasurer or that the treasurer needs to be changed or updated in some way, if we know that, we can make sure that that information gets to Adventist Giving. And so there's no lack of you getting the reports that you need from Adventist.
Amen. All right. Again, this is the Adventist Giving app. A lot of you have seen it. It could be on your Android, iPhone, or iPad. You see it on your computer. Your members or donors can use the Adventist Giving app or go directly to adventistgiving.org. So some of the churches I've noticed put this app on their or put this link on their website, and the members just go to the website and click it. So look for that. Your local church, the software that all churches should be using should be Jewel. It may, when I tell you, and a lot of you who are on Jewel and have worked with me, or I have worked with them, notice how easy it is. You do have some restrictions, because that's, like any software, you will have that. You have the Adventist local church software available to churches and to manage finances, do receipts for donors, and much more. Okay, the software, of course, is free. It's free. Let me repeat that. It is free to the local churches. You don't have to purchase this. Okay, so, and again, we send you the link. Again, I try to make myself as available as possible. Don't call me after midnight, but I will try to be there as much as I can to help you load it in, start it up. If you haven't started it, but you want to have Jewel, this is a great time to do it in the beginning of the year, because then you can get right from day one, everything in there. There's a handbook on tech support is available. Again, I'm your tech support, so we are here at the conference to help you as much as we can. There is a handbook that's in the Jewel software, and in a little while I'm going to show you Jewel itself and show you a few things that you can go to get this, get your treasurer's handbook in there. Remittance report can be sent directly to the conference. In the Jewel software, it's just a matter of a couple of clicks, and your remittance is sent to us automatically, and we will get it here. Once we get it, we do ask that if you're using Jewel and you're remitting to conference, there's a part I'm going to be talking about in a few seconds about trying to follow the steps. And there's certain steps you got to follow, and we will get it. Once we get it, we get a notification that is there, and then that gives us the authorization that you have already signed up for us to pull the funds. Don't email us or send us a check, even though we got it. Now, if you notice that the money has not been pulled from your account, a week goes by, almost a week and a half goes by, and you're checking your account. We, as treasurers, should be checking our bank accounts. When I was a treasurer, I checked it daily. Sometimes some of us could check it weekly, but check your bank account. If you notice the money has not been pulled and there's been a week or two that went by, please, we ask that you contact us and ask us, are we going to pull the funds or what happened? But normally, once you remit the conference, within 24, 48 hours, we're pulling the funds. So you just keep that in mind. Receipts to donors are generated automatically. Next. So keep all that in mind. So these are just the dates. Again, we were talking about for your remittances, for now, this year, February 10th, of course, March 10th, April 10th, and May 10th. These are the dates that we expect, hopefully, for you to get that $500. Again, you get it in every month by the 10th of the month, and you will see that. Now, if you're mailing us a check, you got to keep in mind, you don't mail us a check on the 10th or on the 9th, because we're not gonna get it on the 10th. We're gonna get it afterwards. So this is where the ACH comes in, or where we could take it right through the Jewel remittance. So keep that in mind.
One other thing, Jay,
Yes.
for those of you who are very comfortable with writing checks and putting them in the mail, please remember then just to use the lockbox address. That will get your check deposited ASAP. So if you do want to mail a physical check, please send it to the lockbox address.
Mhm. Absolutely. So anything you can do to get that to us quickly. All right, next. All right, so now, again, we was talking about the Jewel software and the Adventist Giving. We talked a little bit about the Adventist Giving, and I gave you some basic information, but up here you'll see, we'll give you a second to take my number and my email address. Again, I try to make myself available as much as I can. During the day is a little difficult because we're either in and out of meetings. I'm available usually after 6, and on Sunday afternoon I'm available. So just give me a call. If you don't get me, please, I ask that you leave a message, your name, the church you're from, and of course your number, and I'll call you back. As a lot of you who I've worked with know, I try to do this within 24 hours. So, but again, things do happen. So please, just leave me a message if you don't get me. In the Jewel system, which we're going to be showing to you in a little bit, these are some of the steps that I've gotten some questions from a lot of you. You need to follow the steps. The software itself is driven by next step. So if you're following the steps, you shouldn't have any issue on what you forgot to do or what didn't get done, or trying to remember something if something was not done. So what I ask every time I do training on Jewel, I say, please follow the steps. If you follow the steps, you won't go wrong. One of the most important one is when you remit to conference, the next step, right after you remit to conference, is going to say, are you ready to send your remittance to the conference? Or send your remittance to the conference is the next step. You want to click that, because if you don't click that, you're thinking we have the funds, we have the notification that the money is ready, but it's not. You have to click the next step, which says send remittance to conference. When you click that, that will now send the remittance. So we have the hard copy, plus we have the notification that is ready to be pulled. So please keep that in mind. Remittance ACH to the conference. Reconciliation. Some of you have not used the reconciliation feature. For those of you who have, praise the Lord, thank God, because you'll find that will definitely keep your balances up to date. But if you have not used the reconciliation, I have found when I go into the software, I have found that I'm there to help you, but the reconciliation is like haven't been done for the last 5 or 6 months. Keep that in mind. Closing the month and the year. A lot of you have already closed out your December month and closed out the year for 2021. And you notice there's some steps, extra steps like 1099s that comes up and other items. Please, again, these might, each church has their own situation. The software does not print a 1099 form, but it will give you the information of the individuals who are getting 1099s. So keep that in mind. You will have to purchase those forms either from Office Depot or Staples, or you could actually order it from the IRS free of charge. Okay, they'll actually send you a quantity of 1099s with the 1096 that you will need, because you're going to need the 1096 is like a red background, and you need that original one to send to the IRS. So make sure you could either order them or you could purchase them, but those things come. The software itself doesn't do it. Backing up the software at the all of you should see it. If you don't see it, let me know. But your backing up the software is quite easy. It'll give you that step. You'll always back up to a jump drive. So you have a jump drive in there. I recommend not backing up to the actual computer, but backing up to the jump drive. And then the next backup will be back up to the conference server, please. I would ask, and now I'll give you a quick scenario. a lot of, this has happened already. A lot of you, I always recommend the church purchase a laptop for the Treasury Department and have them utilize that laptop, because once that treasurer steps down and the new treasurer comes in, the old treasurer can give their laptop to the new treasurer, and that treasurer now has all the information. They can move forward. They don't have to worry about buying a computer or reinstalling the software, because everything is on that computer. So that's one of the things that I recommend. Also, when you have the software on your laptop, you're backing it up. When you back it up to a jump drive into your into the conference server, people always ask why. I'll give you one good example. There have been, and there's no computer that I know that has not crashed. The computers crash. So now the computer crashed, you lost all your information. But you say, thank God, I have it on my jump drive. Okay, where's my jump drive? You can't find the jump drive. Now you're really in a pickle because you can't find your jump drive. The computer has crashed, and now you're panicking. So you call Jay Francis and say, you didn't back up to the conference. We got to start all over again. So when you back up to the conference server, we have at least a copy of your last backup. So the most that you might have to do is do 1 month, redo one of the months. So please back up to your jump drive, back up to the conference server. When we go in to help you, we can look up your information, get it back to you, and get you up and going within 15, 20 minutes, if that. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, Francie, let's take a quick look at the Joule system itself.
Okay.
So I want to share my screen. I'm going to show you all a few things that we just talked about, and then we're going to move on, and we get over here. Come on. Okay, here we go. And all right. Can everybody see that? All right. This is, of course, Joule. When I said about steps, your next step right here says start new offering. All right. Every time you click this, it'll take you to the next step. Okay. We was talking about you backing up. Over here, one of the most important things is done in your maintenance. We're gonna look at a few things here. First, let me tell you this. Under help, you'll see right here, Treasurer's Handbook. So if you click that, a PDF file comes up, and this is your Treasurer's Handbook. Everything that I just mentioned about Joule is in here. All right. So you will you could easily go in here. You could print this out. It's a little about 66 pages. You can either print this out for your own usage. You can save it as a PDF, and that way you can always refer back to it when you want to. All right. So that's where that is. If any of you are using Joule and you see a little thing that comes up, sometimes something comes up over here that says that it's not updated or it needs to be updated, you can also make sure you have the latest one. We should be all of us should be on 8.2. Go ahead to check for updates. And if you click that, it will tell you if you need to be there or not. Say no updates are available. In this case, your software is 8.2. If you're not sure what your software is, go to help, go to Joule, about Joule. Down in the bottom here, we'll tell you, everybody should be using version 8.2. If you're not using 8.2, then you could go to that help and update your software, all right? It has some unique features that have been added on. Nothing spectacular, but just a few things. In maintenance, here is a couple of things real quick. You could add new members, of course, nobody here, but you can add new members, all right? You could put in new accounts. If you have an account, like, let's say you don't have women's ministry in there and you want to add it, you can put it in there. Again, all these I could show you at another time. But down here in properties is most important. In your properties, you should have your name, your name of the church, name and address of the church, your name here as a treasurer. You could put in a password if you choose to, okay? But if you're the only one using it, then it's up to you. So that's a choice. You can always put your password in there. Up in here where it says entity code, if you click this button here, select your church. This will give you look for your name of your church, and alongside it should be your entity code. This is very important because if you're going to use the software to remit the conference, if this is not in there, we will not see it. Because when we get it, we see the name, but we may not see the entity code. And there are some churches that just happen to have the same name. As you can see here, there's two, but one is Spanish and one is English. So again, just keep in mind, again, anything on here that I'm showing you, you can always ask about it at another time. In your general tab, real quick, this is where you back up to. So if your USB port is K or F or G, whatever it is, that's what it's going to be in this box right up here. Okay, and all these here defaults that you should have already set up. If you have any questions on any of them in particular, again, you get in touch with us. Internet. This is where you set up your ACH. These two boxes need to be checked off. If it's not checked off, please check them off. Again, you're backing up to your conference server, and you're backing up to well, both of these are sending. We said send remittance. I mentioned that before. You gotta, when you send your remittance, this got to be checked. If it's not checked off, then it's not. We're not going to get the remittance, and then you're going to want to know why we didn't pull your funds. Once you get it approved to have your ACH, there is a process where you need to get a form. You can get the form from us. Sometimes the pastors have it, and you fill out that form, get 3 signatures on it, which is the pastor's signature, the treasurer's signature, and the clerk's signature. And then you send that to us with a voided check and the minutes from your board meeting stating that you have been approved to do ACH. You make sure this box is clicked right here. And then you put in here your routing number and your bank account number. And once you do that, that will then send us the information where we will then pull your funds. All right. So these are the most important things. As far as the other items, I could always go to it another time. But I just want you to see that because that's one of the things that I keep getting. Real quick, one of the features with reconciliation is this here. This some of us who have used Jewel for a while, notice that when you go into reconciliation, this comes up first. Okay, and then if you have more than one bank account, you're going to reconcile that bank account, and then you notice something's going to pop up saying that you need to reconcile another bank account, and sometimes it stops you from going any further. So we have changed it. So this box will come up first now. You could pick the checking account that you want to reconcile. All right, and then you click on reconcile. All right, and it'll take you right there. If you have more than one checking account, then you would click the next one. Once you finish that one, it'll bring you back here, and you could choose to reconcile that one, or you might say, I'll reconcile that one later. You have the option now to do that. All right, so that's the biggest thing with the reconciliation. Once you go into reconcile, I believe my reconciliation should be, I think I said 17.9, I think it was. And then it's just, when you go look at your bank statement, you just click off all the items that match that bank statement. So let's say you did your deposits, and then you go down and you do your checks, whatever they are. And let's see. Okay, so once you do that, once you click off everything that's on your bank statement, this is what happens. No difference. That means you have now reconciled. If you notice there's a difference of $5, $2, a penny, or whatever the amount may be, look back on your bank statement, see if there's any fees that has to be entered, see if there's any other items that are missing. I've unfortunately found that sometimes you wrote a check out to a vendor and you forgot to put it in here. If that's the case, then you need to come out of here and start all over again. If you have a lot of deposits and a lot of checks and you decide to come out of here, you can easily, when you say cancel, it's going to give you a note that says the bank account is not reconciled. However, you can save what you have just done, and you could, come back to it later. So you can say yes. And now if I go back to that same one, let's say I found the error, I fixed the error, I'm going back to now to complete my reconciliation, the information is still there. You didn't lose it. So all you have to do is just click on the ones that you're missing, and then you can move forward. All right. Because of time, I know that there's a lot more that I could probably go over, but I just want to give you an idea of what things that you can do. I think a lot of you already know your reports and graphs gives you all your reports you need. Even if you want to know, you have members, and we have found late that some of the members, you can't do a check for them. When you when you have a member, and that member just happens to be a janitor or doesn't work for the church, and you want to give them a check. If you look at your members list, there's two things that should be marked. You see, V is for vendor, DR means they're a donor, and R means they receive a receipt. So if I click this person here, and then go to this is their profile. Down here, it's hard to see, but down here would be donor and vendor. If I want to give this person a check, I need to now edit their profile and click off vendor. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to give them a check. And what some of you have done is that you actually put the donor in, and then went in and put them in again as a vendor. You don't have to do that. You could use one profile and check them off twice. All right. And I will take your question in a minute, Walter. So that's what's in here. Okay. You can run that for for your particular church, and you'll see your members. So just remember, these are just for all your reports in here. Some of you have ventured out and looked at some of these other reports or annual report graphs and stuff. So be my guest. Look at the stuff, play around with it, open them up, look to see. You can't harm anything. You can't mess up anything. It won't let you do certain things. And if you have issues or something did happen, call us. We will be more than happy to try to help you out. I am going to move this over, and we can start taking some questions, because I think some are coming in.
Jay, before you get too far away from this, there was a question in the chat about going over the import.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's something that you can do before we navigate away from here.
Okay.
And then there were some other questions as well.
Yeah, you have like importing the Advent Giving. I believe that's what they're asking. If you go to start new offering, and you want to put in your Adventist Giving, and you should have already downloaded. It downloads into, you could download it into an Excel file or a CSV file. If you download it into a CSV file, you could come in here, you see where it says import, click on import offering, and it will ask these questions here, your email, because when you go into Advent Giving gives you the option to download it, or it's in your email. So you're gonna put in your email and put in whatever your password is, because you're gonna go there to pull the CSV file. Some of you have already used it, find it, could be other ways. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't use it that often, because I'm not a treasurer at the moment, but when I was a treasurer, we didn't have this feature. So this is also new to myself, but I've worked with a lot of treasurers who said to me, this is one of the ways. Another way is to actually just, download it, print it out, and then put it in individually. But this is where you import that particular. So if you're thinking about importing it, this makes it easy, especially if you have 10, 15, or 20 offerings in Advent Giving, and it's going to be tedious to sit there and enter them one by one. You could go here and it'll all automatically upload all of it in. And once it uploads it in, when you look at your contribution report, let's see if I see one in here. Okay. Hey, guess what? I don't have any offerings in here. Okay. When you go to your contribution report, it'll actually show the names and how they put their funds in. All right. And you can always verify it again with the download when you first download it from Advent Giving. All right. any other, like I said, once you have done it once or twice, you'll find it to be easy. But I could go into more detail on another time, but that's basic. It just going here and importing it from here. Okay. All right, Francie. You have any other questions on Jewel, or you want to move on?
Yes, Jay, there's a question. It says, well, I don't know if this is a question, but it says this may not be a biggie, but in January, I have an offering date of 1/15/22 and the import offering date of 1/15/22. Can I change the date of the import?
You could, depending on when was the last offering. Because if the last offering was, let's say, you're talking about January, I don't know, let's say that last offering was January the 5th. I'm just picking a date. The software won't let you go behind that, meaning go to a date, behind that particular date. So you could change it, but you can only change it back to the date of before the last one. So if the last one was January the 5th, you could do January 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th forward. It will not let you go January the 1st or December, because those offerings has already been done. So it won't let you go back to the date behind the last one that was done. Hopefully that answered the question. You can change it, but it would be to a date that's more recent.
That's not the problem.
But
The problem was the 1/15 date. When you go to import, it shows you 1/15. When you go to import from Adventist Giving, it shows you 1/15. It don't show you the last one that was put in, and your date you got is the 31st. I put in the 31st, but in the next, it went in on February 4th, but it won't let me import that February 4th because that's my last offering was from January 31st. Does that make sense?
Well, it sounds to me like it should have went in for the. So right, okay, I see what you're saying. It wouldn't go past the January 31st. Meaning it wouldn't go back to Jan. It said the 15th. No. It wouldn't go in for the 15th. I think the easiest way.
15th went in, but
okay.
Then when I tried to do it for the 31st, then it wouldn't give me the offerings from the 31st. It wouldn't let me put those offerings in that would actually went to the account on February 4th.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You're talking about going right. Okay. All right. That one, we need to get together, and I need you to send me the database so I can take a quick look at it, because it could be either the month closed and won't let you go back, or it might be
Didn't
something
close
else.
it yet.
Okay, so it might be another glitch that's not letting you put that. So I need you to send me the database, and I'll take a look at it. But we could do that offline. I'll be available this afternoon.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
Is it possible that the Adventist Giving is not yet ready because they only deposit twice a month for the Adventist Giving? So when that money is out there, it's only out there twice a month, and that could be part of the problem when she's pulling it, as opposed to when it's actually available to go into their account.
Could be.
It went in on the 4th. The day is the 6th.
Yeah.
I tried it this morning.
Okay, so that it could be something else that's going on. So I'll work with you right after this. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, good. Give me a call. Give me a call. Okay.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my question, I have a couple of them, as a matter of fact, on this Advent Giving, are you the conference, supposed to be sending us some notification of that?
No.
No, okay, good, because I misunderstood what you were saying. The second thing is, I am really having a problem doing the Advent Giving and how you reconcile that to the reconciliation business. I have to get help every month from an auditor. And what he said to me is just go to the help. And it's not clearly written in the help that, where it says help and it'll tell you how to do it. I may be really stupid, but I just can't figure out how, I can't figure out from your help on how to do the Advent Giving. And I think it needs to be clarified a little bit better for people that are about 2 years old or 5 years old to understand it.
Absolutely.
It just is not clear to me. So I have to bother this man every month to figure out how to do that.
Mhm.
So I wish you could redo that some kind of way so won't have to bother you, but it's just not clear. That's the first step. That's the
Well,
first.
Okay, I just want to say one thing on that. We will get together after this meeting. Here's the thing. I find, and I have nothing against whoever giving information, but sometimes a lot of us, myself included, it's hard to read something and figure out how it's supposed to be applied. It's easier for somebody to either show it to me or walk me through it. And that's what I do. So unfortunately, I'm sorry that you didn't call me when this situation started or when you was having problems, and you wouldn't have to have gone as far as you're gone. And believe me when I tell you, most of the treasurers who have worked with me is not a bother. It is not a bother. You're not bothering me. I'd rather you call me and we work it out to the point that you have it down packed and you understand it. And if it takes 5 times, if it takes 10 times, I'd rather do that than have you, as you are right now, frustrated on why you can't get this past the point. So we'll work together. I'll get you going that you'll understand it from day one.
Okay.
Okay.
The other comment.
Dr. Elliott, if I could just clarify, you're saying the help that's available
online with the jewels, where, it says help.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, you can go, it says, it prints out the whole sheet of things of how to do it. I've read that thing. I just don't get it. Okay. I'm gonna be real. This is not my first love, this computer business. I try to get help on it, and I do the best I can, but it's not written for me to understand.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure it was that help versus
Yeah,
help.
that's the help. That's the help.
Okay.
Now, another thing about this $500. Now, what I want to know, and I don't mean to be ugly, but what I want to know is when we put in, and I use the ACH, that I put it in the timely fashion, but you don't always get it off in a timely fashion. Now, am I going to be penalized because you won't get it off? You don't take it off, because I got calls saying they don't have September, yet September was sent. They asked me for information for September. I sent it to them. They just took it off in January. So, I mean, and the same thing with November and December. So I want to make sure it's going to be calculated on when we actually put it in. And that should be on the ACH, correct?
So I'm going to jump in and then I'm going to let Jay complete the answer. One thing we do have to make sure, and I don't know if this was the situation at your church, Dr. Elliott, but there are some people, when you look in Jewel, it says that ACH is either available or requested. We have to make sure that whatever the setup is in Jewel, if you're trying to submit it through Jewel, that setup has been completed. Now, if you send us an email and say on the 9th of the month, our report is ready to be taken, you will get credit for your report being on time. And I will now defer to Jay because he's the expert.
But what she said is so true. Yeah, if we, and this, I've seen it happen. Again, I'll find out when we do talk later, your particular church. But we, unfortunately, that's the truth. When it comes to, if it comes to us as ACH from Jewel, unfortunately, there was one or two steps that was not completed. Not that not that you didn't do it, it's just that it just didn't complete. So we could figure out, we'll talk about that. And the other thing is that if you send it in and you send us an email, if you're doing it not through Jewel, you're doing it as a regular ACH, and you send us an email, said, here's the funds, it's ready to be taken, and you do that on the 9th, we take it out, we will give you credit for the 9th, not the 10th. Even though we might take it out on the 10th, you sent it to us on the 9th, because we can see the email and the date that you sent it.
Even if we take it on the 12th, if you had it available, we'll give you credit going back to the date that, it will be marked as being on time. One other thing is, Jay, you mentioned if you're not using Jewel, but you do use ACH, we just want to remind you that we do need the report to accompany whatever those funds are going to be. So if you are more comfortable just writing it up and then saying, okay, you can draft my money, please make sure that you do email over that report. you can attach it when you say our funds are ready, here's our report. Whatever works, but if you're only using ACH and not Jewel, we do still need that report. So we thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Okay, we still
One
have
more
some
thing,
questions
and
in
who
the
do I
chat.
send? Oh, sorry.
Who do you
So
send
I
it?
wanted to kind of get through some of the questions that was in the chat since they've been in the chat first.
Okay.
Thank you. The income and expense report is very helpful report for me. How can we get it formatted so that it can be presented in the monthly report for the board members to see?
You told me the income report, this income statement or income expense statement and that comes into Jewel.
I'm
Yes,
not sure.
If that's what they're talking about, you could actually, when you click it right up top, it says copy to clipboard. You could copy the clipboard and put it right into Excel if you rather use an Excel format. But in here, if it's just a matter, this is not a full one, of course. Some treasurers have told me that it's easier for them to show their reports in an Excel format. So if you come in here and copy the clipboard, it'll give you a little more, tip. And then you open up an Excel spreadsheet, you could easily just put it right in there. You have to format it a little bit, but you can easily put it right in an Excel spreadsheet, and then that will show you exactly, format it the way you want it to format it to show it to them. So I go into here, into Excel, pick wherever you wanted to put it back, and then you have it right there. Then it's, however you want to format it. All right, so that's how you do it that way. If there's any, there's really no other way to put that in. But that's how it comes up.
Okay, and the
so
next
Jay, you
question,
said copy to clipboard and then open with Excel?
Right. Oh, copy the clipboard. You have to open up an Excel blank sheet.
Okay,
And then you go in here, and with some people, I just right click and go right here to paste.
and I'm only asking because I'm not seeing what you're doing in Excel. So
Oh, no.
I'm assuming that other people aren't either.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, that's fine. So copy to clipboard, open a blank Excel, and then right click and say paste.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Wherever you want it.
Okay, perfect.
Showing.
thank
Okay.
you. Go ahead, Gwen, sorry.
okay, thank you. The next one is said, did you mention the bank end balance and clear ending balance should be the same?
When you're going to reconcile, I'm assuming that's what it's saying. Yeah, the bank ending balance and the declared ending. So you have your beginning balance and your ending balance. Once you mark off whatever deposits and whatever checks that's on the bank statement, these are items on the bank statement that you're saying has cleared. These are all the items that has cleared. Most of us know, we already know how to reconcile it. We're trying to do it in the Joule system. The only thing you do is just checking off all the stuff that has cleared that's on the bank statement. If it's on the bank statement and not in Joule, that means you didn't enter it in Joule, okay? Or you might have entered it in for a wrong date or something, but it's not showing. So just make sure when you do your bank reconciliation, whatever's on the bank statement, you're reconciling it to what's in Joule. Okay, hopefully that answered the question.
Okay, thank you. The next question was, and I'm just gonna read it, the answer to the person, the $500 incentive was not offered last year. That is new for this year. So if you got 300, don't think you're gonna get another 200 on top this year. That's gonna be starting with January 1 of this year, okay? And then the next question says, recently when I am entering contributions, after I enter the tithe amount, the next line used to come up church budget, but now it repeats the tithe entry and I have to override the entry. Did I
Okay.
do something wrong by accident?
No.
Okay,
Go to maintenance, go to properties. Hopefully you're seeing this. They seeing this, okay. Then go to accounts. When you go to accounts, it's your fourth tab. Down in the bottom, it says tithes. Make sure the next one that's underneath tithes is what you want it to be. It's a church budget. And what you do is just highlight it, drop down box and pick the one you want. So instead of church budget, I want the next one to pop up is Sabbath school local funds. And then after that, I want church expense. I don't care, whatever. But you could do that and go to the next one down here. You want to put in maybe 13 Sabbath. Okay, you want to go to the next one and put in maybe the church budget. So you can put as many as you want in there that that will frequently come up. This is how you set up. So when you put in your tie envelopes and you wanted to populate each one after the other, you can do that, or you can manually put them in. Either way, whichever one makes you happy.
So Jay, are you thinking something happened to their setup?
Could
And
be.
they just
That's
need
why,
to go back through here and put it back how they want it. So put back
Exactly.
church budget if that's what they want to see next.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Okay, next question says, my signature is not populating in Jewel. None of my tithe receipts had it shown. How do I fix that?
Okay, again, properties, go to maintenance, go to properties. Down here is where you enter your signature. Your signature has to be either a BMP, BMP, because there's two of them. Sometimes they come up as a JPEG, but you don't want it as a JPEG. You want it as a BMP. So you go here. If you already, the first thing you need to do is sign a piece of paper, put your signature on a piece of paper, and then save it on your computer as a BMP file. Once you do that, then when you click these little dots inside here, you go look for that particular file. So you have this, and I would make that file, let's say, signature file. And once you have a signature file, you see it's either, I don't know if you can see it, but can you see this? It says BMP. I had two of them in there, one JPEG, one BMP. Make sure you pick the one that's a BMP. It's something to do. And once you pick that, you say open, and here we go. Open, and your signature will come up in the bottom right here. Okay, that's what you should be seeing. But you have to have already saved your signature on the system. You probably have, and if it's not showing, it's either you lost it, or another thing that has happened is that this signature is on that particular computer. So if you change computers, or you happen to use, some of the treasurers use their laptop when they're doing the work from home, but then they go to the church on the desktop to go now and print out receipts. Well, if you go to the desktop, your signature is not saved on that desktop. It's saved on your laptop. So now you have to put that signature on the desktop and do the same thing I just did. Go here, go find it on the desktop and save it into Jewel. Because what's happening is that this is looking for it at a particular computer and a particular place. So if you're not on that same computer where you save the signature, then you have to save it on that other computer. This has happened to myself and a lot of treasurers. All right, hopefully that helps.
Okay, would you be going internet-based anytime soon?
Not that I know of. It's a one-person database. I mean, only one person could use it at a time. So if you have an assistant treasurer who's also, let's say, they should be doing the reconciliation, because you as a treasurer should not be doing the checks and the reconciliation. So that means they would have to come into the system. But if they're working in the system, you cannot work in the system. And if you're working in the system, they cannot work in the system. I haven't have any word yet from the creators of the software that is going to be internet-based yet. Once we do, we will let you know.
Okay, and then a few years ago, the conference provided some USB flash drives. Are they still available, and can it be mailed to?
So I just
Mailed out.
added my response. Flash drives are not available at this time, but we can look into whether they can be made available in the future.
Okay, and then I have a question. It says, at the EOM closing, my budget allocations for 2,200, but I only had 1,700 in the combined budget. Should I accept this and move forward, or do I need to adjust my budget allocations? This may have been caused by church closure for 3 weeks due to snow. Only online funds came in?
Well, the simple answer is yes. You have to adjust it. You could adjust it in two places. You could either go to edit budget allocations and adjust it in this box here, or adjust it when comes up. So yeah, you would have to adjust. Just go ahead and adjust it. I wouldn't click, because if you click and go forward, it will give you a negative in your church budget.
Okay, and I put Jay's phone number in the chat in case you missed it when he flashed it on the screen. So if you have additional questions, you can contact him tomorrow or later
this
today.
afternoon.
Whatever
Yeah,
his availability. He said he working all day today.
Does anybody else have any questions before we move away from Jewel or anything that we've discussed so far?
Is Clara Moody,
Thanks, Aaron.
okay, is this, you still have Brother Sam that works with you all on the program? Because I usually call him if I have a problem. Sam Peloche.
I think he does. I think he does still work with us. I
Okay,
think that's still an option, and you can also reach out to Mr. Francis if that's your, so you have two options.
okay. Thank you.
I don't think it hurts. Now, if he tells you that he's no longer working with us, perhaps he has more on his plate than we're aware of. And if that's the case, you definitely can reach out to Brother Francis for any assistance that you need with Jewel.
Okay, I just still contact him, but thank you. I can reach Brother Francis if I can't. Or should I? Oh, it's okay. Either or is okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other before we move on? Okay,
If nothing, I do have a question.
yes.
If I'm in order. When I send, and I really have a problem with sending in the payroll for the teacher assistant that I have here. When you receive that information from me, do you automatically take the money out of ACH? I mean, take the money out via ACH? Or do I have to call you again and let you know, please pay her? How is it working? How does it work?
So we will get into payroll later, but
Okay.
just for your information, when those reports come in, we you don't have to make a separate call unless there's an issue with your payment being deducted from your account. If you are set up for ACH, at the point that you send the form, we automatically enter her into the system. We pay her on the whatever the pay date is. And then shortly after or somewhere thereabouts, we take all of the payments as a batch. Now, if you're not seeing that happen, then you can reach out to us and let us know. But as a general rule, that's how the process works.
All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Only thing I have to say is that hopefully everyone will be back this afternoon, because we will be continuing, probably going into auditing and maybe a few other details on a few other things that Francine will be talking about. So we hope to see you back then too. So go ahead, Francine.
I think we actually have time to move into that piece now. So
Okay.
I'm gonna start sharing where we left off.
Mhm.
Can you all see that?
Yes, Mike.
Wonderful.
Okay, auditing services. Let me just move something around here. Okay, an audit is important as it provides credibility to set up a financial statements and gives the church members confidence that the accounts are true and fair. It can also help to improve the church's internal controls. When we come out to audit, a lot of people always say, well, why are we getting audited? It's more so to help the treasurers see if their internal controls are working. Also will help the treasurers to understand what documents and stuff that that's really necessary for them to use. So we ask, and I've got this question a lot, why audit? I do my work honestly for the Lord. Nobody needs to check on me. Auditing is not a matter of distrusting anyone or someone. There are several reasons why an audit the financial records for the local church and schools. One is to verify the financial records. This helps. Sometimes the treasurers are doing a great job, but sometimes I found when I go out to audit that they appreciate the fact that we may have seen something that they missed or something that we can help them with. A lot of times is usually things that happen on their board, or members of the church are asking for certain things to be done, and by legally or by church the way things should be done. And when your members start asking you to verify that they want this information, or they want you to add this to their report, or they want you to do certain things, sometimes I've gotten treasurers call me and say, is this proper? Should I really do this? Is this going to get me in trouble? So this helps, the audit helps us to identify these items, help you to know what to go back. Because now you could go to your next board meeting and say, well, the auditor or the conference is giving us these instructions, and this is what we need to follow to verify the income and funds properly received and recorded according to the donor's designation. As we all know, whatever the donor puts on that envelope, that's where it should go. Now, you do have donors that will make up their own place. I want this to go to my pet Sally. No, we're not going to make an account for every designation they want. So you have to educate your members that we have a pet fund, one classification that all these items could go into. And when you educate them, they would know, and they would hope prayerfully follow those instructions to verify that outgoing funds are properly being dispersed and recorded according to the policy as set by the conference. Again, a lot of things that are done, you may not be aware of certain things that you can and cannot do. So again, it helps you as a treasurer know what we expect and what you could find any strengths or weaknesses in your financial records. Okay, so that's why we do these audits. And it also helps with training and advice. So a lot of you treasurers who've been a treasurer for a length of time, you know the procedures. Some of you who just become treasurers might have gotten information from the previous treasurer that may not be 100% accurate. So again, this helps the treasurers more than anybody else. Next. These are the documents that basically are needed. Now you will get a letter from us when we preparing to do an audit. You'll get a letter from us asking you about when is a good date. We will get together and we'll do that together. So we're not gonna just say, we're coming next week, Friday at 2:00 in the afternoon. No, we will contact you and ask when is a good time for you and us, so we both could have it together. We are doing audits right now. Our anticipation is to do them all virtually. So that means all your documents should be scanned as PDF files to send to us. We'll give you a secure email that you'll send these documents. So you'll need your bank statements. If you have more than one checking account, you'll need your bank statement for your checking and your savings. If we're doing more than 1 year, we're going to need it for each year, okay? And we need the full bank statements. Some of you get bank statements or get partial, but we need the full bank statements. You could go to most banks, you could go in and get your bank statements for the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 years. So keep that in mind. One more thing. As a treasurer, when I was a treasurer, I actually used to every month, instead of just getting the paper statement, when I was getting paper statement, I would get them, scan them, put them in a folder as a PDF on my computer. So that way, when I was audited, I could just give the auditor that file, had all my bank statements. Some banks, you can actually go online at the end of the month and download a PDF. So now you don't have to scan it. Just download it into your computer and you save it. makes life much easier than trying to get all those bank statements, make copies. And please don't send us original stuff, because it might take a while for you to get it back. So we prefer if you could scan everything and just get it into us that way. Monthly bank reconciliation reports. If you're using Jewel, you'll find some of these reports are not necessary because we could pull it right from Jewel. That's another beauty of using Jewel. You'll save from trying to find out where's my reconciliation reports, where's my month-end cash report, where's my balances, where's my month-end bank statement balances. All that's in Jewel. So only thing really here is just your bank statements that we'll need besides some other items here. Okay, Adventist Giving deposit detail. That also comes as a PDF that you could download and save it and send it to us in a folder. Monthly financial statements are presented to what you present to the board. The financial summary is right there in Jewel. Again, if you're using Jewel, that's one report that you don't have to be concerned about as far as saving it anywhere, unless your computer crashes. But if your computer crashes and you're saving it to the server, we got it. All receipts and vendor statements for bill paid. Now this you may not have in Jewel. So if any of you are using Jewel, again, when you write your checks out, you should be using the memo section. The memo section on Jewel, in Jewel gives you a pretty much good space that you could type in what that check was for. It's kind of hard to say that you gave a check to Tom Jones for $10,000 and we don't know why. So, we will be asking you. So keep that in mind. All receipts and vendor statements for bills paid, all church board minutes, having all the minutes ordered and unstapled in one minute folder. Again, most of our clerks are keeping their minutes as a Word document. And if it's a Word document, that means it's in the computer. And the only thing that has to be done is put all that into a folder and label the folder minutes for year 2020, year 2019, whatever, and send that to us. Okay, that's the most easiest way than to go through all your minutes and how to pick out the ones that you feel that we should get or whatever. Yes, if they're being done by a Word document, and I know because my wife is a clerk and she does all her stuff on the computer, and I showed her how to set up a folder and put all those minutes in it. So again, most of this stuff can be done electronically, and we prefer it that way. We will be doing the audits virtually until further notice.
And one thing I would just add is after you have them all in Word, if you want to convert them all to a PDF, you can do that. If you want to make sure that they don't get changed. Mm-hmm. And if you really want to make sure they're secure, you can encrypt them. So they absolutely cannot be changed. For some, it may be imperative, and for some, it may be a non-issue. So just a thought.
Okay, next one we got here. Okay, auditing process. Contact with, again, we were saying this earlier, we will contact the pastor and the treasurer when we first start the audit. We will send out an engagement letter, as I said earlier. This will give you a list. Now, a lot of you probably couldn't sit there and write down everything I just said, but you will get a list. As the treasurer, you and the pastor will get a list of the documents that are needed for the audit, okay? And again, we send either email or mail, most likely email. So that's another reasons why, as Gwen said earlier, we need your correct email address. We may have an email. I sent out some stuff the other day and a lot of stuff came shot back to me because the email was not correct. So please make sure we have your correct email or where you want us to email you that you're checking. And check your emails, please. Review, once we get it, we start the audit, we review the bank reconciliations, deposits, checks written to match financial reports provided. So again, just, if you're using Jewel, just make sure everything has been inputted. You have any problems, again, call me. When we finish the audit has been done, then we will review the audit, go over it. Then we will set up an exit meeting with the pastor and treasurer. We mail and to go over the financial audit report that we will eventually send to the local church board. All right, so the exit meeting again is just to go over what we have, whatever findings we have, so that way the pastor and the church and the treasurer knows. And then after that, we go to the local church board. That's your end of the audit. Okay, And go next. Oh, look at this. Any questions? I think we just did this, didn't we? Well, as far as the audit is concerned, does anybody have questions on that or anything that we spoke about? Since
Well,
we,
there's none in the chat right now.
I'm trying to get to chat. Wait just a minute. I have a question.
But then
okay.
say your question.
Okay, my question is, on the online giving. I have some members, when they go into online giving, they go and they check everything, every box that there is, and we don't have all of that in our system. So how am I supposed to handle that? Like they want to give bites to this ministry and that ministry over in Africa and all of that.
I feel your pain. I've seen it.
I think there should be a way though, under, like if you set up your profile,
Mhm.
isn't there a way that you can, if you log in as Mountainside, to say, okay, so we only have this, and this available? Does that show up on your side as an option?
It
I have
should.
not seen it. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Okay,
I tried to put in as much as I could for them, but there's just some that we just do not have at all.
I don't think you can change the general conference accounts. You can't.
No, you can't. Mm-mm.
not to change them, but to like hide them. That's not an option either?
No, I've tried to hide them from people too.
Yeah.
So then what I will suggest is either you may end up having to add all of those things, which I don't think you necessarily want to do,
Mm-mm.
or you can just share with those donors. Like you can send them an email and say, thank you for whatevering, and maybe you can have like a standard email that you send out. I mean, you don't want to restrict people's giving, but
No.
kind of want to let them know these are the things that are actually available to give to locally or within our territory or something, as it is an NAD wide application. So maybe that's an option, just a standard email that you send to all people that are in that category. Say, okay, just a heads up, thank you so much for your donation, but if you could try to tailor it over here. But yeah, we're not trying to restrict anybody, but we do need to make it so that you can get the money to where they intended it to go, and that could be an issue.
Right. Or either they send it directly to that ministry.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things that I've done when I was a treasurer was, again, when we go into our board meetings, sometimes we have to educate our members. They don't know what we're seeing and may not even understand what we have to deal with when we put it in. So sometimes it's just a slight little education. I tell, when they start putting things and everything that has to do with all over the world, I say, listen, just put it into ADRA. That takes care of the world. So, it's sometimes it could be very simple. Other times might be a little more discussion, but and some members just do what they do. So like Francine says, we don't want to restrict them, but it's just a matter of educating our members and letting them understand that, what you have to do and what you're working with. So, we can always try that also. Okay, I think we have a hand or something.
Yeah, so Brother David?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a question, sir?
Yes, I just have a statement I need to make. Sometime I think it put the whole church at ease. Sometime when people want to give to a special offering, and then when they see it transpire over the statement, the end of the month statement, it give them ease, because a lot of people give interestedly. They want to know where their money is going. So therefore, because if they just do it one time at the end of the year, if no more money is put in there, you don't see that account identifying code anymore. So therefore, I think it's a win-win. If that's what they want, and like you said, sister, what's assistant treasurer name? I can't think of the name, but it does create work for the trade, but then too, I think in the end, we all are satisfied with what happened because we see what is actually happening, because we wanted to show the picture, what happened, what is happening to the funds which come through the church.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that by showing the money exactly how the member gave it, it gives them security in the fact that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing because their donation is reflected.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good point. That's a good point. As opposed to maybe trying to combine it into something else that works. Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess you kind of have to look at the makeup of your church and see
Exactly.
if you can actually do that depending on the amount of members that you have, and if everybody would just like to give to everything. But I guess once everybody gives to everything, then you create them once and they're already there. So yeah, that's a good point though. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I've done that. And it falls down instead of up, going to the conference where it could be distributed, it falls down into the local church and to be distributed. But at least when they get their printout, they see that it was printed there.
And allocated how they requested.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Patricia?
Hi, yes, I was just gonna say, like with the import, when you do the import and you get ready to map, it'll show in red when to map it out if it's not already on your local list. Anything foreign, you can map it out and add it in there at that time. I find it easier to do that.
See, we have a lot of experts on the line. This is great.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
It doesn't hurt at all. Yes, sir.
Yes, and also as Jay said, it eased the pressure on the trade because you're questioned when they come to you. I never did see my money being spent, but then to the memo on the check, when you write the check and how Jewel breaks it out, what it went to, they can always see that portion of it went to where they said it was to go.
Yes.
Great. Great.
Like I said, it's just a matter of you have to know your members. Most of the treasurers know who their members are, know how their reaction is. And when I do training in the past, I've always found that the treasurers who've been around for a while, they have built a certain amount of trust and faith in their particular treasurers. So you treasurers are very valuable, and people, and that's why some of us stay on there for a couple of more years than we actually wanted to. But that's because they really trust you and they have faith in what you're doing. So educating your members is a good thing, really, really it is, because I've seen financial statements 5-6 pages long when it really doesn't have to be. You can make a lot of those accounts sub-accounts. So for those individuals who like to put it in, you can make those sub-accounts, and then when you give them a report, you can show that it went to the areas that it went to. And then when you do your general report to the whole church or to the board, you can do a summary report, and that will hopefully give you only 1 page instead of 20 pages. So there's a lot of things you can do. Walter said a couple of things that we've talked about in the past. Sister Peterson, the same thing. We've talked in the past. So yes, but the biggest thing is educating your members, because they do not really realize the amount of work that you as a treasurer is doing. So educate your members.
Wonderful. So I know we only have 5 minutes left, but we're just gonna try to see how far we can get in this part A. We're gonna talk quickly about accounts receivable. When there is something that the conference is billed for on behalf of the local church, we will issue an invoice to the local church, and we will try to be as descriptive as we can be with that invoice. So you should be receiving an invoice for a specific charge as well as a statement. Now, sometimes because the invoice and the statement have some of the same information, it might seem like it's a little bit redundant. But in this case, you'll notice our example that was used here was Sterling Volunteers. So you would get the invoice for Sterling Volunteers. In the memo line, we try to show who the volunteers are that you are being charged for, but we're going to talk about Sterling volunteers a little bit later. This is what the invoice looks like, and then this is what your statement looks like. So if you had, and a lot of churches are only getting charged for Sterling volunteers as they come through. There aren't many other things that are getting charged. We do have more monthly charges like for our schools, but for our churches, it might just be Sterling volunteers and maybe the occasional, if we get to the end of the policy year for insurance and there's an unpaid balance, you might see that charged as well. But this is what your statement will look like. It should have a year-to-date balance on it, and it should show you everything that you've been invoiced for since the beginning of the year. As opposed to doing just a monthly statement, we like to do the year-to-date balance so you can see a record of everything that you've been charged and everything that you've paid for. Now, if we go back real quick, if you notice something on your statement that is incorrect, either in terms of what you've been billed for or a payment that you have not seen credit for on your account, we're asking that you reach out to Mr. Orr. His information, you'll see that in a little bit. Kelton Orr is our accountant that deals with accounts receivable. If there's something on there like Sterling volunteers that is from, I don't know, let's say 2019, and you just want confirmation for who those volunteers were that you were charged for, you can reach out to him and you can inquire. One thing that we like to share with you, and most of you are aware because you have gone through the process yourselves, is that when you go through the Sterling volunteers process to be checked for your background, you actually select, as the volunteer, you select the institution that you're a part of. So sometimes what may happen is if we have a church member at Ephesus, they might pick the wrong Ephesus and go through the process. So when we get this statement at the end of the month, I'm not going to be able to tell if Joey Schmoey is a member at New Bern Ephesus or Columbia Ephesus. So we do apologize for some of those things, but as the statement comes through from Sterling volunteers, that's how we bill it. Now, is it possible that we make mistakes? Absolutely. But if we do, please let us know that you don't recognize the name of the volunteer. You don't think that person is yours. We'll check and see if it went to the wrong Ephesus. If it didn't go to the wrong Ephesus and the person is actually affiliated with your church, we'll leave it there. If you're still questioning it, we'll see how we can remedy it. But sometimes it just takes a little bit more digging, as that is how the person selected what church they're a part of. So Sterling volunteers, we just want to make you aware, this is what the website looks like when you go in to actually get checked. Some of you may be the individuals that have been designated to have access to see who has cleared. We know the pastors have access. Some of you may be that additional person, but just to keep in mind that South Atlantic uses Sterling volunteers to verify and process the background checks of all of our volunteers, and we bill the local entity for 50% of those charges. So the charges that you see on there are reduced by 50%, and we have paid the other balance. Okay, so it is now 11:30. We will continue when we come back. This right here is Mr. Orr's extension. You see that down there, extension 1204. If you have any questions on the statement that you received from him, you can contact him, and you should also be receiving statements from the ABC if you have an account and or a balance with them. And any questions on that, you can reach out to Mrs. Coleman, the ABC manager. We will see you back at the beginning of the next session. That should be in half an hour. I don't know if you have to, you probably do have to log off and then log into part 2, but we thank you for joining us. We thank you for your participation. And we look forward to seeing you in 30 or so minutes.
See you when you come back.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you.